The enemy pilots often don't even realize their death has already passed over them. Radar stays clean, the sky stays silent, and then, in a blink, the fight is over. Moving at Mach speed, without afterburners, without a single warning, a stealth shadow hunts above the battlefield. By the time the enemy realizes they're being tracked, the missile is already on its way. This is not just another fighter jet. This is the game changer of air combat, a name that makes pilots tense up in every briefing room. Welcome to Elite U.S. Millitary, where we reveal the real weapons that shake the world. Tonight, we're talking about F-22, Raptor, the sky's deadliest silent predator.
Take a look at the F-22 Raptor. At first glance, it might not seem revolutionary. It's got twin tails, broad diamond-shaped wings, and a sharp, angular nose. Honestly, if you didn't know better, you might mistake it for a more modern F-15 Eagle with a slick new paint job. But that's where you'd be wrong, because the shape of this aircraft is a masterclass in deception. Every single line, every edge, and every curve on the Raptor is meticulously designed for one single purpose: to make it completely invisible where it counts the most. To an enemy radar system, the F-22 doesn't register as a fighter jet. In fact, its radar cross-section is so small that it is often compared to the size of a single marble. Imagine that for a second. Enemy operators are scanning the skies looking for a 60-foot wide metal aircraft, but all they see is, well, practically nothing. Maybe a tiny, fleeting speck, easily lost in the background noise of ground clutter or a passing weather system. This incredible stealth capability means that long before a hostile pilot even gets a warning that they've been spotted, the Raptor has already tracked them, identified them as a threat, and is ready to fire. This is exactly what military analysts mean when they say the F-22 kills you before you even know you in a fight. It achieves air superiority by never even entering a fair fight to begin with. So how did this ghost of the skies come to be? The story starts during the most tense moments of the Cold War. Back in the 1980s, the U.S. Air Force was facing a potential nightmare scenario. They were looking at the next generation of advanced Soviet fighters and surface-to-air missile systems, which threatened to outperform their workhorses, the F-15 and F-16. For years, the U.S. strategy had been to build an air force that was simply faster, better armed, and flown by better-trained pilots. But just adding more speed, more missiles, and more radar wasn't going to be a winning strategy forever. Then, someone at the Pentagon asked a question that would change the course of aviation history. What if the enemy couldn't see us coming at all? That simple but profound question gave birth to the Advanced Tactical Fighter program. What makes the Raptor different is not one trick, but a stack of advantages layered on top of each other. Stealth is the first and most obvious. Its airframe is built with carefully aligned edges, internal weapon bays, radar-absorbent materials, and buried engine faces to keep radar energy from bouncing back in strong, clean returns. Weapons that would hang off pylons on other jets are tucked inside the belly and side bays. Even the curves of the canopy and the way fasteners are placed are all about controlling how radar waves scatter. But stealth alone doesn't win every fight. Under the skin, the F-22 combines stealth with something no other Western air superiority fighter had when it entered service: Supercruise. Using its two Pratt & Whitney F-119 engines, the Raptor can fly faster than the speed of sound Mach 1.5 plus without lighting afterburners. That means it can sprint, reposition, and chase while staying fuel efficient and relatively cool, without leaving a massive infrared plume behind it. In a real fight, that matters. You can be fast without advertising your presence like a blowtorch in the sky. Then there's the way the Raptor moves. Look at the back of the F-22 and you'll see something unusual: two-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles. They don't just blast thrust straight out the back. They can angle that thrust up and down. Combined with powerful flight controls and a highly unstable airframe that the computer is constantly balancing, the F-22 can do things in the air that break the mental model of what a jet is supposed to do. It can pitch its nose suddenly, dump speed, and change direction in ways that leave even experienced pilots shaking their heads in debrief. These post-stall maneuvers aren't airshow gimmicks, they're tools. In a close-in merge, where stealth and beyond visual range missiles have already done their work and two aircraft find themselves, Nose-to-nose with guns and heaters, that super maneuverability can mean the difference between getting tone or becoming someone else's kill. But here is the part that often gets missed in flashy footage: the F-22 isn't teeth and claws. It's a brain in the sky. At its heart sits the NAPG-77, AESA radar, an active electronically scanned array that can steer beams of radar energy electronically without moving parts. It can operate in low probability of intercept modes, quietly building a picture of the battlespace without screaming, "I'm here," across the spectrum. Around it, the Raptor carries electronic support measures that sniff for emissions, navigation systems that keep it aware of its position without GPS, and secure data links that let it share contacts with other Raptors and command and control platforms. To the pilot, that all appears on crisp, fused displays. Instead of staring at separate, noisy scopes, the F-22 driver sees targets, threats, and friendlies integrated into a single picture. It's not just a better fighter. It's better information about the fight. So what does all that mean when the Raptor actually goes to war, or at least to war games? The F-22 has never fired a missile in anger at another manned fighter in a peer war. There is no confirmed Raptor versus Raptor equivalent dogfight over some secret battlefield where it racked up dozens of kills. But we have clues from training. In red flag exercises and other high-end simulations, F-22s have reportedly gone up against fourth-generation fighters, F-15s, F-16s, Typhoons, even allied aircraft in dissimilar air combat training, and come back with lopsided kill ratios heavily in their favor. Raptor pilots describe killing multiple opponents in beyond visual range engagements before those opponents even saw a blip on their radar. More than one foreign pilot who's fought against the Raptor in training has said the same thing. By the time we know it as there, we're already dead. In the real world, F-22s have quietly flown combat air patrols over Syria and Iraq, intercepting Russian and Syrian aircraft, deterring intrusions, and protecting coalition forces. In those encounters, just the presence of the Raptor has often been enough. When an adversary knows there's an F-22 in the stack, they fly differently. Even its weapons are tuned for the ambush. Inside its main bay, the Raptor can carry 6 AIM-1-2 OMRAM beyond visual range missiles and 2 AIM-9X sidewinders in the side bays. In stealth mode, that's a relatively small load compared to a BVR-loaded F-15. But remember, the Raptor is built on the assumption that most of the shots it takes will count. It can also, when stealth isn't the priority, hang weapons and fuel tanks on its wings, turning into a more conventional heavy fighter for permissive environments. Over the years, upgrades have quietly improved its sensors, communication links and weapons, adding features like the ability to employ the AIM-9X with high off-bore sight shots through a helmet-mounted cueing system. All of this power comes at a cost. The F-22 is expensive to operate and maintain. It was expensive to build. Production lines were shut down in 2012 after fewer than 200 airframes. That decision, made in a post-Cold War moment when war with a peer looked unlikely, is one of the reasons we are now talking about its replacement. The Raptor fleet is relatively small. Aircraft are aging. Modernizing them for new threats, integrating them into ever more complex networks, and keeping their stealth coatings and systems healthy requires time, money, and a shrinking pool of specialized labor. When you see a Raptor, you're looking at a machine that is not just technologically elite, but also logistically fragile. That's where the story turns from past to future. The U.S. Air Force has been blunt. The F-22 will not last forever. The Next Generation Air Dominance (NGAD) program is already underway, developing a 6th-generation system manned fighters, drones, and networks that will eventually take over the Raptor's mission. In the 2030s, we'll likely see the first operational squadrons of NGAD fighters quietly sliding into the role the F-22 holds today. But that doesn't make the Raptor irrelevant. In fact, in the dangerous decade we re-entering the 2020s and early 2030s, the F-22 remains the tip of the spear for U.S. air dominance. If a crisis with China blew up over Taiwan, the first American fighters deliberately sent into the most dangerous airspace would be F-22s and F-35s, working together. If a rogue state tried to push old fighters or bombers into Allied airspace, Raptors would be among the first airborne hunters sent to kill or turn them back. Invade is coming, but it's not here yet. Until it is, The F-22 is the aircraft U.S. planners count on when they need someone to walk into the worst part of the sky and come back holding the kill tally. So when you hear that line, the enemy pilots often don't even realize their death has already passed over them. Understand, it's not just marketing. It's the distilled idea behind the F-22. See first, shoot first, and leave the enemy wondering what happened. In a world where sensors are everywhere, where radars get better every year, where missiles reach farther and fly faster than ever, the Raptor is still a reminder that being seen last can matter more than being the fastest or even carrying the most weapons. And for the pilots who strap into that cockpit, close the canopy, and push the throttles forward, it is a promise and a burden. You are the one they send when air superiority cannot be allowed to fail. You've been watching Elite U.S. Millitary. If you want a follow-up that pits the F-22 head-to-head against China, SJ-20 and Russia, Su-57 in a realistic war game scenario, who sees who first, who can fire, and who actually lives to tell the story, tell us in the comments. Type Raptor so we know you made it all the way to the end and you ready for part 2. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to Elite U.S. Millitary, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive from next-gen stealth programs. They heard rumors about to the Cold War and post-9/11's legends still guarding the sky right now.